Hello, this is my introduction to GKR Karate Do. Um, it all started back in 1999 when I had a knock on the door from a guy called Paul Hewson who enrolled me to the club. He came in, knocked on my door, made an appointment, sat down with me for a good 20, 30 minutes and then told me that I had to pay money there and then, which I had none of. So he said he'd come back a couple of days later, which he did, and he made I think he made 60 quid that day. Now I didn't know where the money was going. I didn't know that it went straight into people's pockets. I just assumed that it was paying for um, you know what he said it was, registration to the club. I didn't realise it was something that he would actually go home and spend. So I went to my first class, and yeah, I walked in. There was a guy that called Paul Hurst, who was my sensei at the time, and he had this black and white belt on, and I thought, wow, black and white belts. They must be like double black belts. They must be like well hard people. Black and white, man. That's got to be some kind of badass stuff as that. Um, what I actually realised later on down the line is that as I was a white belt, he was actually only a blue belt. So basically, the start of it is that my first realization to the black and white belt is that they're not black belts. They're not black belts whatsoever. Yes, I did wear a black and white belt, and I did teach a class of 30. Well, it's actually 90 because I taught Wednesday 6 till 7, and then I taught another one 7:30 to 9 on the same night, and then I taught on a Sunday morning as well, 10:30 till 12, up in Harrogate, and each class had 30 students. So for an orange belt, not really knowing that much about karate curriculum or whatever, or I could get through the format, left to my own devices, etc. I held 30 students per class. I held 90 students a week, which was pretty good, I think. I mean, in this day and age, that's pretty damn good. So yeah, I then got I was training for a while. I was training for maybe 10 months or so. I got my yellow belt. Um, and then I got Paul Hurst actually approached me and said, "What do you do for a living?" I said, "Well, I work in a warehouse." I was working at Burton's at the time, Burton Menswear, up in Leeds, over in Leeds, doing like a bit like a constant stock taker, if you like. I was part of the perpetual inventory department, where I make sure that what garments were in the shell on the racks were actually there. I ran the biggest department. I also did management reports, etc., etc., etc. So at the time, I was probably earning. This is gonna sound really, really, really funny. At the time, I was earning £150 per week. Now, for a 20-year-old kid that only had room and board to pay at his mother's, 150 quid is like 130 quid's worth of alcohol and etc., etc. So yeah, I used to work there, and Paul actually said to me, you know, right, do you enjoy it? I'm like, well, yeah, it's all right. He said, well, do you want to double your money and learn karate for a living? And I'm like, okay. My only question to him was, will I grade quicker? Because I was a yellow belt for 10 months. I think it was about 10 months. Didn't get an orange tip, didn't get an orange belt. So, I kind of fell beneath the wayside, if you like. So yeah, I went there. I had a meeting with a guy called Pete Devlin, who was my instructor. He picked me up from work. We had a bit of a chat. And I went for a training session with them in the afternoon because I finished at 12 that day. I went for a training session with them, had a meeting with them. He dropped me back off. I got the bus home, etc. And then the next day, I gave in I basically booked a week off from work as holiday, so I could go work with the guys. And then I phoned in sick for another week, so I could go work with the guys. I'll tell you why I did those 2 weeks. I was unsure of the whole thing. I did see money being made. I did get some good karate training in that time. Um, but yeah, it was basically, we were a team of what called consultants, where we would go out as a team into an area where they ran a class, maybe in a church hall, community centre, etc., and we'd go knocking on doors. We'd basically go door to door. We'd start at 4 o'clock, we'd finish at whenever the last appointment was. Sometimes we could be out there till 9, 10 o'clock at night. After starting at 12. So, you start your day at 12. Well, you've got to travel to and from the dojo to where you're training full time. We started at 12 o'clock, and we might not get back till 9, 10 o'clock at night after we finished. So that was kind of a long day, really. There weren't much time to have lunch. There weren't much time to have dinner. There weren't much time for family life either. So we went around knocking on doors. In my first week, I did quite poor. I think I signed up one member in my first week. This was the week's holiday, so I thought, right, I need to know if this thing works. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and maybe phone in sick and try it out for another week. Second week, I think I might have done 2 or 3 members, of which, first week I made 20 quid. Week 2, I made between 40 and 60 quid, which isn't double what I was promised. Which isn't double with the, the glory of it all. You want to double your income. So I did that. And then I decided, you know what? And I handed in my notice from work. I told, I kind of lied a little bit. I told the porcupine. I told Pete that I needed to give a month's notice. When I didn't, I only needed to give a week's notice. We were getting paid weekly then. But I needed a month's notice so that I could get a couple of quid, behind me, which kind of didn't work anyway, because I used to blow it all. So yeah, there's that. And I went working full time with them. I was a consultant for 2 years. I would go out there, knock on doors. I would be on the bread line for 2 years. I met my now ex-wife while I was knocking on doors. Moved in with her while I was knocking on doors. We used to go to, this is the lifestyle of a consultant. We used to go to Morrison's and bounce checks. We knew there was no money in the bank. We knew we had no money, but in order to live, we had to bounce checks. So we were kind of living hand to mouth every single week. So yeah, that's basically my consultant lifestyle, where, if you don't get your allotted goal, you have to go out and do X, Y, and Z to get your allotted goal. We were also expected to go out there, help build a team. So standing outside a job centre on a Tuesday or Thursday, or before training, we'd stand outside a job centre and basically tout people, what do you do for a living? Do you enjoy signing on? How would you like to do karate full time? So it's kind of sales techniques. I got very good at sort of sales and teaching sales, but not as a consultant. I was crap. As a consultant, I was shit. I was crap as a consultant. I didn't make a lot of money. My only passion, the passion that I had, was for karate training. And I stuck around purely for the karate. Nothing to do with the business. Absolutely nothing to do with the business. My best week in 2 years was 24 members. So 24 members at 20 quid a member. That was my best week in 2 years. Some weeks I got 15. The average those days was 15 members a week, which was your 300 quid. And out of that, you would give the club £35.25. If you were a team coordinator, you get a discount on that, depending on how many people on the team got their goal. So every Monday we'd sit down. There might have been 20 or 30 of us, maybe probably 20 of us, because we was with another team as well. Andy Ward had a team in South Leeds. Pete Devlin was North Leeds, and Andy Ward had a team in South Leeds. And Andy Ward always had a big team. Always had a massive team of people. One of the most successful managers within GKR Karate. Really, really savvy business head. you know, a bit of a mentor to me as well in the business. So yeah, you know, I don't really talk to Andy Ward these days, um, but I consider him a good guy. I consider him one of the good guys, and because Pete wasn't really a successful manager, I think I helped him get the team along. He started to get a bit more savvy in the business. He actually ripped into me because I went to Andy Ward for advice on business and not him. So he'd rip into me a little bit. It was a bit disheartening, which I get that. I totally get that. But my karate inspiration was Pete Devlin. I just looked at him and I just thought, holy shit, you know, if I can be half as good as you, man, one day, then I'm going to be happy because he was sharp. He was crisp. You know, everything he did, his kata, kumite was very, very strong. Kion, everything he did, every time he moved in karate, it was just so clean and so precise. I was just in awe. And I just thought, you're the reason I'm sticking around, dude. You know, I'm not sticking around for the business side of things. I'm sticking around because of what you're teaching me, because I want to be as good as you one day. You know, and that's the main reason that I stuck around for so long. And that's the main reason that I was loyal to Pete. Because he sort of kept me on the straight and narrow. He was a mentor to me. But, you know, he taught me karate. And again, that's why I was there. And it was all about the karate. His attitude was the same as mine. It was karate, karate, karate. He was there to train. He was there to be, you know, a good karateka. And do you know what? Like I say, to this day, I don't know what he's like now. We've sort of lost touch over the years, but to this day, I'll still say things in a dojo that I've seen within GKR that some of the mentors that I had have taught me. You know, back then, the top three karateka that were in GKR that I had the pleasure of training with, I would say Pete Devlin, Gav Richardson is a total powerhouse, and Paul O'Donnell. Those three guys there to me were, I want my karate to be like yours one day. I want to be as half as good as you, and they were solid. You know, they were. They were the dog's bollocks as far as I was concerned when it came to karate. And I just thought, nobody can touch these guys. These guys are just, you know, these guys are just the best. And I don't know about Paul. I don't know if Paul's still training or has been training, but I know Gav sends videos every now and again, and you know, he's a big lad, but he's still a powerhouse. So yeah, you know, I was there for 2 years. I was a consultant for 2 years. On the breadline. Was made to go out. You know, I kind of skived off weekends. I didn't like working weekends. But yeah, so that's basically consultantship, is that. And, you know, we had to learn how to do sales. I didn't really learn sales until I was a manager. So in the time of being a manager, that's when I really learned sales. So 2 years on, I got the elusive phone call. Well, not the phone call, but I get told that a region has come up. It was actually at a conference where I did a speech as a consultant. And Stacey Karetsian, who I didn't know at the time, because we used to go to conferences every 6 months. It'd be, you'd pay like 100 odd quid for the conference, which would basically go into paying for hire of the suite, hire of the room for your karate training, hire of the room for your conference speeches, your dinner. You know, your dinner was laid on and stuff like that. But the rest of the time, you had to buy your own drinks and stuff and pay for your own room. So a weekend there, we used to go down on the Friday and, you know, come back on the Sunday. So 2 nights would probably cost, you know, in close to £300-400 for the 2 nights. Which is a lot considering you're bouncing checks at Morrison's. So yeah, it was actually a conference speech where Pete Devlin came up to me and he said, "Look, I've been approached by Sheehan at the time, Sheehan Stacey. Let me just backtrack a second. Before, we used to bow to Robert Sullivan. Now, Robert Sullivan is the founder and chief instructor of GKR Karate. I used to bow to him, and when I first started, he was called Sheehan Sullivan. Sheehan just means master teacher. He was Sheehan Sullivan. Until there was a big kick-off with another club called Kenshikai. and a guy called Adrian Sklanders that you know, if you want to look into it, look into it. I'm not to, but the Adrian Sklanders tried to split and tried to make GKR Karate into Kenchikai. So yeah, and so what happened is Bob Sullivan changed his name to Kansho. Now Kansho means founder, but it's also a Japanese game where kids would do this with their fingers and poke it up the bums, poke it up each other's bums. So yeah. Anyway, back to his conference. So Pete Devlin approached me and said, "Look, I've just been approached by Stacey Karate in Shiam at the time, and he said, you know, your region's coming up soon, and you know, it's yours." So I'm like, okay. Basically, I was asked where I wanted to go and when I wanted it. So I said, look, I was a brown belt at the time. So 2 years ago, from yellow belt to brown belt. My karate was noticed, my attitude was noticed, and they wanted to elevate me, which was good. So they opened up Hull. So I came to Hull in the year 2002. I think it was about September time, 2002, maybe sooner, I don't know. And basically, what they would do is, as a manager, you would be paid £25,000 a year, and run a region. You would help build a region. So we did that. I thought, you know, as a 21, 22-year-old kid, that, you know, 25 grand's a lot of money. And at the time, it was £500 a week, man. You know. Was it £500 a week? Yeah, it was £2 grand a month. So I thought, you know, that's a lot of money. Why wouldn't I want to do that? Why wouldn't I want to do that? Pete Devlin showed me bonus checks of like 10 grand, and I thought, what's all this about? I'll go into those as I go into the management side of things. So yeah, moving day came. Region 31 was ready to be operational. Moving day came. We hired a moving van. We got friends to help. The house was being sold to that we were living in was being sold to a investment buyer. We were loading the house. I got a phone call from Pete. He wanted to know why I wasn't out there. You know how moving day was. I got a phone call from Jason Wright, who was the zone director for the area that I was with, and I also got a phone call from Bob McCracken, who was the zone director I was going to go work under. He covered all the east, the central part of the UK, like Birmingham, Nottingham, etc., and Hull fell into his domain. So yeah, moving day came. We moved everything. My ex-wife she was the one that she came over here first, because it was touch and go with the money. If the money wasn't transferred at a certain point, we were going to be out in the street. You know, there was 2 kids involved as well. So we got the money. The money was transferred, and we got the keys for the house. We drove over, etc., etc. Moving day came. I didn't go into canvassing for. I stopped canvassing then. You know, Pete called me and, you know, wanted to know why I wasn't canvassing. I'm like, well, I'm a manager now. He was like, well, have you signed your contract? I'm like, no, not yet. He said, well, you're not a manager yet, so you need to be out of canvassing. I'm like, dude, I'm in Hull. I'm trying to get my house ship shape, you know, for when things start. So I took another 2 week off. Took another 2 week off, I think, just to get the house ship shape and, you know, make sure the furniture was in. But I was still expected to go from Hull to, you know, back over to Leeds to do some canvassing. You know, this is the expectation that's put onto a consultant. So yeah, the day came when Mr. McCracken came to my house, and I signed my management agreement. The agreements that you get with GKR as a full-time person, whether it be a consultant or a manager, you don't look over. You just initial the top right-hand corner of every single page and sign on the back. That was it. You don't look over them. You know, nobody ever read an agreement for GKR Karate. Nobody ever read. Now they call it an agreement, not a contract, because it literally is you agree to certain terms for your time while you are with GKR. So yeah, you know, I signed the agreement, and you know, they've just Just actually been told that, the manager's got a pay rise, so I was starting at the right time. I think we got from 24 grand a year to 25 grand a year. Something like that anyway. 25. Something like that. So yeah. And then my time as a manager started. Yeah, that's basically as a consultant. So the consultants, whenever you pay a registration fee to the GKR consultants, they go towards them. They did have a registration fee, but it was minimal. So basically, what people paying their 20 quid for was a fee for service. So it's like, I've come into your house, I have told you all about the club. You have told me you're interested in the club, so you now owe me 20 quid basically per person. So what we do is, as a consultant, so just going back to consultant, I'll go into management in the next video. So as a consultant, we'd go around knocking on doors. We would the door script that we had to learn was never changed. It was the same throughout. Hi, my name is James from the local karate club, just in the area that people know about self-defense and fitness classes. And what we're doing for those people that are interested in finding out a little bit more about our classes is dropping off information sheets and timetables. Now, would you like any information on our classes? Sometimes people said yes, sometimes people said no. So the people that said no would just say, look, would anybody else in the family like some information on the classes? Sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no. So every yes, we'd be like, right, okay, great. Look, I've got those information sheets and timetables, and I can drop those off to you later this evening when I come and see some other people in the street. They don't know that I'm not coming to see anybody else just yet because they're the first person that said yes to me. So if I drop it in about 7:30, or is 8 o'clock better for you? Or 8 o'clock. So okay, and your name is, and your address here is, and the telephone number is. Wonderful. Now look, Bill, when I drop this in, I'm going to spend 5 or 10 minutes with you. I'm going to explain to you where our classes are and so on. That way you can ask me any questions you've got and you can take it all from there. Okay? So 8 o'clock's definitely a good time for me to pop in, and all the family will be there as well. Yep, great. I look forward to seeing you then. Go get another appointment. So you book appointments from, say, 7:30, 8, 8:39, maybe even 9:30, depending on time. And you could be knocking on doors from 4 till 7. So 3 hours walking around, knocking on doors 4 till 7. So what we do is we'd go back at the allotted time, and we'd say, right, okay, so in sales, anybody can sell. Anybody can sell, but you need to know the product you're selling. Now, the product we were selling was karate, but it also had benefits with it. And the benefits were self-defense, fitness, discipline, confidence, mental and physical coordination, concentration, and also character development as well. This is straight from the script, is this? The old script. So it had all that you were selling for them. So what you would do is you would find out why they wanted to learn karate. Now, they hadn't thought about learning karate until we knocked on the door, until we thought, oh, let's go in there, So then what we do is we kind of close them on this. It's called a close, C-L-O-S-E, a close, which is where you get them to commit. So they commit from the beginning. So as you know, karate is a Japanese form of martial art. It's mainly based on self-defense, but it also promotes a lot of fitness and discipline as well. So out of these three things, self-defense, fitness, and discipline, what do you feel you can benefit from the most? So we're now bringing feelings into it. So they say, fitness. Okay, so why, is there any reason why you'd pick fitness? Well, because I'm a little bit overweight, I could do with a bit of fitness, etc. Okay, great. Lock that away for later. Okay? Because when we close the money, we're going to say, but didn't you say earlier? All right, and then we go through this folder, it had pictures in, people might not listen, they might be on the phone. It's like, do you know what, you're being really good now. We had to put up with this. We had to walk into houses where you had to wipe your feet on the way out sometimes. We had to walk into houses where there was babies screaming, dog crap on the floor. In fact, Pete Devlin told me a story that he walked into a house and all the kids started laughing at him because he stood in the dog poo. And it's like, ugh, I don't want to know this stuff. As a consultant, it was fun. It was quite fun. We'd go in there, but I wasn't a very strong salesperson. Because when it got to the fees page, what we'd do is we'd say, right, okay, GKR's got a registration fee of £80. Now, the £80 covers obviously the insurance, etc., etc., etc. But what we're doing for those people who can let me know tonight that they want to get something started is we're actually going to reduce the fee to £20. So it's like a £60 drop. That's called a drop clause, where you would start off a high price, make them go, ooh, I can't afford that, and then drop it down. It's like, oh, okay, I can afford that. All right. It was never £80. It was never 80 quid. So yeah, and we get to the end and we say like, right, okay. So out of these, out of these two options, the gold membership at £80 or the beginner's trial at 20, which would you prefer? Now they pick one, and the second they pick one, which is always going to be the cheaper one, because whatever you want them to say to you, you say last. So I was always going to pick one, and there was never going to be a "I want to think about it" kind of thing. So they'd pick one, and they'd always say the lowest one. So you'd say, right, okay, great. Now what I'll do is I'll get down some details and get you organised. Your date of birth is. So we start taking people's date of birth down. Start taking, just remind me your name again, right? So it's Bill, and all right, and little Sammy's date of birth is okay, great, and it's Sammy Jones, and then at this point they'd start thinking, we weren't allowed to give them time to think. Because if people have time to think in sales, they're probably going to go with the path of least resistance, which is no. So the second there was a silence, they'd be like, "Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing?" Well, I'm just taking some details down, getting you organised for your class. You said you wanted to benefit from the fitness and the, little Sammy from the discipline and Susie from the, the self-defense, etc. So we're going to get you organised for your first class. Oh, whoa! I'm not paying anything tonight. Okay, that's great. I'm not asking you to. Do. That's the last thing I want you to do. Which it kind of was the last thing that I wanted them to do. So we continued taking the details down, write all the cards out, hand it all over to them. Welcome to the club by a shake of the hand or a high five for the kids. I welcome into the club. So, right, how would you want to fix up your registration now, Mr. Jones? Do you want to do that cash or do you want to stick it on your card? Said I wasn't paying anything tonight. Okay, well, like I said, that's the last thing I wanted to do. But in order for us to get you registered for your first class, we do need to get this organised. So it's kind of a bit of a pressure sell, if you like. And I wasn't very good at it. This is what I'm saying now has all become since I've become a manager. So eventually, they'd either kick us out or they'd give us money. I ain't got a card. All right, we can just write a check if you want. And whenever somebody wrote a check, I would always lift it up, let it float to the floor, and then say, you're all right, that's not going to bounce. And that was a bit of an icebreaker as well. So I was a bit of a cheeky chappy. I could get away with murder, which we kind of did sometimes. I met some good guys along the way as my consultantship. There was a guy that sort of looked after me called Matt Hickling. He looked after me a lot, looked out for me. Aaron, there was another guy called Aaron that he looked after me as well. So those two main ones are the two main ones that really sort of took me under the wing as a consultant. They did look after me. So yeah, that's what consultants have to do. Now, depending on how many people you enroll in a week, will depend on how much you get paid. So as you can appreciate, everyone got paid differently. Some guys would go out there and they would be making £300-400. That was a really good week. Other guys got there, they might be making £80-90 a week, and that's not enough to live on. Okay, you can get more signing on. So, but again, I stuck at it because of people like Matt and Aaron who were friends and looked after me as like a their newbie. They looked after me a lot. People like Andy Ward, who again was a bit of a big brother figure, if you like. He was like the big brother that I never had. So I stuck around for him. And then there's Pete Devlin, and he gave me the karate. And again, that's what I was there for. Now, that's what I'm saying there will come into play. You'll understand why I'm saying that in later videos. So yeah, GKR Karate, for me at the beginning, in the year 2000, was a karate club that ran a business. How things change. And they did change. But those few people, the people that I've mentioned so far, Pete, Andy, Matt, Aaron, Gav, Paul, I stuck around because I aspired to be like them. So I stuck around. But mainly for the karate. So, Pete, if you are ever going to watch this is your fault. All right, all jokes aside, I don't know what he's like these days. I don't know if he's still teaching or if he's still doing anything, but, you just lose touch. You start to lose touch. Yeah, which is quite sad. So that's the first stage. That's GKR Karate as a consultant. Pressure selling. Didn't believe in pressure selling. I was crap at it. Have in mind that my best week was 24 in the 2 years that I was there. But then I got promoted. I got promoted, I think, purely for my karate. I don't think I didn't get promoted for my business because I sucked at business. I was probably one of the worst. To the point where my then zone director, Bob McCracken, actually told me that I would have been the consultant he would have fired. But I'll get into that in another video. All right. So yes, even at the beginning was pressure. I just couldn't see it. Just couldn't see the pressure that was put on consultants. And you couldn't see the pressure that was put on managers. As a consultant, all you saw was nice cars. That was it. I can remember a combined training day where all the regions used to get together. All the consultants in the zone got together. So people from Manchester, Leeds, Liverpool, Newcastle, all got together in Manchester. And I remember my first introduction to zone director, which was a bright red Lamborghini Diablo with white interior and the registration plate all X Go. And I just thought, I want that. Is it a Lamborghini or a Ferrari? There were that many nice cars. There was Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Nobles, Porsches, all brand new Mercedes. There was all kinds of really, really nice cars. And that to me was like, wow, I'm inspired to become successful. I want your job. There was also a lot of clapped out bangers as well, but it was a zone director that I saw, and I just thought, do you know what? I don't want to be a manager anymore. I want to be a zone director. I want that Lamborghini. Yeah, it was nice. In the time that I was a consultant, Jason Wright had some amazing cars. Lamborghini, Ferraris, brand new Porsche Carreras when they first came out. He had everything. Probably one of the best dressed in GKR Karate. He was cool, man. Some people will say different. I think it was cool. Some really nice suits. Yeah. Anyway, that's it. I think Joe Estrada had a Ferrari as well. Joe Estrada, again, superb at karate. Fantastic at karate. Stacey Karetsian, he then became my new inspiration for karate training, and I just wanted to be half as good as him then. I thought, stuff this guy here, I mean, Pete was an inspiration. And if he still trained, probably would still be. But then I just thought, you know what? I found something that's better than Pete. I want to be as good as Stacey now. So your goalposts change. That doesn't mean to say that I liked Pete or Andy Ward or anybody else any less. It just means that my sights had gone higher. I'd lifted my sights. From, I can remember Pete saying to me, where do you want to be in 5 years' time? And I said, well, I want your job. Well, that changed. I didn't want his job once I'd seen what Jason Wright was doing. All right. So you can have goals, but you have to understand that goalposts can change. Just because you like one thing 1 minute doesn't mean to say you can't like something else the next. So my goalposts changed from being a manager to then becoming a zone director, and this is all as a consultant. My goalposts changed from wanting to be half as good as Pete to being half as good as Stacey Karetsian. So yeah, I'll get into what everyone else got paid later on. But for now, I'm going to leave that video there. That's just basically my consultantship of GKR Karate, and there's a lot more to say. So, you know, to the guys that I've mentioned, Pete, Paul, Gav, Andy, Matt, Aaron, you're probably not going to see these videos. Shian, Stacey, I'll still call him Shian Stacey today because I just like him. So yeah, you know, all those guys there. If you ever do see this, or if you ever get wind of this, I just want to thank you. Really, I want to thank you for looking after me. I want to thank you for showing me, and I want to thank you for getting me to a level where I was impenetrable. Because the success I had, the ability that I have, I credit a lot of that to your teachings. And I will still use things today. When I'm with the adults, I'll still use things today and it'll be like, right, okay, my old instructor Pete Devlin said this, my old instructor Andy Ward said this. And it'll be, you know, Stacey Correcting said this. And it'll just be things that have resonated with me, just really, really, just nuggets of teaching tips and ability, things for ability within karate training. So I want to thank you for that. And just know that, you know, I know we may have lost touch over the years, but I do appreciate everything you've done. And if you are watching, if you do ever watch, please reach out. Send me an email. Just reach out. All right, so I'm going to love you and leave you guys. It's been a pleasure. I need to now go and shape my beard. And I'll see you in the next video. I'll be doing one every single day. It's going to be knackering, but I'll do one. No holds barred. So yeah, that's it. Thanks a lot, and I'll say thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave your comments below on YouTube. Leave your comments below on Facebook. I will. I'll depending on how we film things, will depend on how it comes out on YouTube. Really, not how it comes out on Facebook. But I might have to go landscape for the next one. So yeah. Thanks for watching. If you're not subscribed to my channel already, please do so. If you're not subscribed to Tadashi Karate Do, please do so. I'm also going to go into the start of that and trials and tribulations with that as well. So I will love you and leave you. I will say sayonara. Thanks for watching.